Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening, whatever you're doing, whatever you're singing along to. Hope you enjoyed the intro to our Sparky coach. That is, in fact, from Offspring's Smash, the classic album from 1994. What an album, what a time to be alive. A couple other notable references in there. One from The Simpsons, obviously. One from Old School, and a bit of unwritten law to the untrained ear or the untrained eye. Not that you're seeing that, not that you're the all-seeing eye from Lord of the Rings, but you know what I'm saying. And just wanted to shout out to everyone listening. Thanks for your support. We're getting a lot of traction on this, and just want to say thanks. Thanks for joining the journey and joining the club, the cult, you might even say. Poncho upon entry for free, and you may return or you may not return, but tell your family you love them and come and join the Sparky Coach cult, the pyramid scheme, and that should be good times. But just wanted to shout out to Reese, you know who I'm talking about. He just sent me a text saying that he's coming on board the Sparky Coach train, and he called me the Ruffin Lord, and I was like, that's sick. It's the self-appointed and self-anointed, the self-proclaimed Ruffin Lord, self-taught, no lessons. Actually, I had a couple of lessons. Speaking of lessons, I'm actually about to catch up for a beer with my tradie that taught me, let's say everything I know, but that's probably like a little bit too much of a compliment to him. But about to catch up for a beer in Byron with him and his wife, who is retired now, traveling around Australia. So shout out to Ian, the big dog, Wolf, the original. This is, I got to talk to him about this, but this is back when you would get like clipped over the head. And I remember, like Will Ferrell when he's Mugato going like, bah, Todd, you know I get farty and bloated with a foamy latte, like throwing stuff at ya and, hitting you with conjugate, clipping ya, yelling at you, lots of swearing. And you know what? Funny enough, I probably wouldn't have it any other way. It was lots of fun working, and maybe I'd take back a couple of clips over the ears, but hey, maybe I'll go and smack him over the head with a beer glass right now, with a little skewy. Anyway, talking about standards today, company standards, and I guess we've all got standards, and standards are really easy to implement when things are going well, and it's really easy to be kind when things are going well. It's really easy to be generous when things are going well. As a matter of fact, I would question generosity to the point where if you are, generous is subjective. And you know what else is subjective? A hard day. The hardest part of someone's day is the hardest part of someone's day. That's a very subjective comment. You might have had the hardest day ever, and you're like, oh my gosh, my day was so hard. And someone else's hard part of the day might have been picking a chicken burger or beef burger. Oh, it's just so difficult choosing where to eat. You shut your face. And the hardest part of the day is the hardest part of the day. That's it. It's all subjective. But standards, right? And you got to have standards. If you don't know what you stand for, you will fall for anything. If you don't know what you stand for, you will fall for anything. If you don't know what your standards are, then you can get swayed like a gentle breeze, right? And the standards are really easy to stay true to when things are going well. But as the crap hits the proverbial fan, as the ceiling fan falls out of the sky and onto the client's bed when they're sleeping, as the pendant light crashes onto the table, you guys know what I'm talking about, those who've been listening a long time, as sand through the hourglass, you must have standards. You must know what you stand for. You must know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And this is where process and systems sort of guide the people, because if you've got standards and you've got processes and you've got everything sort of in place like that, then you'll be able to fall back on something. And it's not an emotional knee-jerk decision. It's not like you can just make it up as you go along. And I want to encourage everyone, what happens, and I want you to see your business like a pyramid scheme. As a matter of fact, if you are driving, don't do this, but if you're just sitting down, just draw a pyramid, right? And it's like this isn't a pyramid scheme, this is a trapezium, right? That's absolutely right. So what do you want to, that was a Simpsons reference if you sort of didn't know what I was talking about. But what I'm trying to say here is you must have standards, and you've got to sort of, if you set the standards, if you're the top of the pyramid scheme, if you're the big dog, the top dog, then you need someone above you. The company rules need to be above you, so you just abide by the company rules. Because what happens if you make the rules up as you go along, if your emotions guide or sway, or your rules change or interchange depending on people, then you will fall for anything. You'll fall for anything when you're tired, when you're desperate for money, when you're desperate for work or whatever. So you've got to have certain standards that you sort of guided by that you didn't make. And I'm going to share the Sparky Coach 10 Commandments with you, and you are going to sort of you're going to sort of like see that obviously myself and Cam wrote them and we live by them because they're tattooed on Cam's lower back, along with the Sonic the Hedgehog anime situation, which I'm not too sure what's going on there. Anyway, now I'm lost on a Sonic the Hedgehog train of thought. But the Sparky Coach 10 Commandments we wrote, we now aren't emotions. When people come to us, we're not guided by emotions, we're guided by a process, we're guided by a system, we're guided by the 10 Commandments that we lived by and we adhere to. And I'm going to read a couple out. We're probably going to get a fair few into it. And I would encourage you to have a business sort of ethos. So for our ethos, we're a community of like-minded business owners who want to run successful businesses and live meaningful lives. That's pretty much it. Like we're quite simple here. We believe that if you do your product well, in other words, your product is excellent, if you get your numbers correct and you're making money, and then you put people first, you'll do some excellent things, because it's all about people, product, and numbers. And if you can nail those three things, there's really not much else to nail. Everything else comes secondary to those sort of top dog, the top of the food pyramid scheme. All right, so a couple of hours, and this happened to me yesterday. There's someone called, and we've got our core package is $500. And we offer this $750 3-pack, which is absolutely hectic. And it's a once-off payment, and it's you get a cost operation session with the one and only Angela, in-house accountant / bookkeeper, who's just one of the best people you'll meet. Shout out to Angela. I don't know if you listen, but hi, how are ya? And then you get a Beastimator session with me, which Beastimator is sort of like, it's a calculator we built that will guide your unique business trajectory, and it guides your hourly rate, your admin to field ratio, your maximum profit, and sort of your next steps to what you can or could achieve in business. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's amazing, if I don't say so myself. And then you get a billable hours session where I'll show you how to measure and monitor billable hours, and all those spreadsheets just go straight to you. So someone speaking to them yesterday, and you know, like this isn't this is just, they said, oh look, like I'm not in for the program, but I'll be in for the $750 3-pack. And I was like, cool, well, you can't do that. It's sucked in. And I was like, you can't do that. Like there's $750, it's a discounted 3-pack, like 3 one-on-one sessions that you only get if you remember, and it's only like a once-off thing. And I was like, I don't make the rules, but I kind of did make the rules. But it's funny because if I was feeling desperate for money or desperate for another member or something like that, I would have said, oh, you know what, we'll just swing this one more time. We'll just come in and we'll just do it. And how many times have you done that as a business owner? How many times have you dropped your price, dropped your pants, taken your shirt off, and stood there in undies just exposed, just like, I hope we make money on this job? Well, how many times have you felt pushed and you caved? And whether that was someone asking for annual leave too late, someone asking for sick leave too late, someone taking a long weekend, someone swearing in front of a client but you didn't quite, someone turning up late, someone oh, can you really do the $4,000? Can it be 3.5, or does it really have to be 80? Can it be 77? You're like, oh, you know what, take my pants off. I just drop my pants. How many times have you done that? And I want to encourage you, it's in those times you want to know what you stand for. What do you stand for? And in this case, I was able to go, you know what, I can fall back on the 10 Commandments. I read it, and one of them is number 8 is no pay, no stay. And that's it. No pay, no stay. It's that's the rules. I don't make the rules. Even though I wrote the rules, I don't make the rules. I adhere to the rules. I am bound to the rules. I am handcuffed to the rules. I don't have a choice in this. The rules say no pay, no stay. So that's it. And he was like, yeah, cool, I get it. And I didn't like go on for 10 minutes about that whole thing. That would be pretty insecure of me. And I'm the most secure person you've ever met in your whole life. That would be a lie. But no pay, no stay. And I think you've got to know what you stand for. And you might have, like, here's the thing, when someone corners you for a serious conversation, don't ever feel the pressure to answer someone on the spot. Someone asks for that annual leave, or asks for something, or asks for a pay rise, or a client asks for a discount, or a client asks you to look at something or whatever. Just be like, yeah, cool, let me just think about that, or let me go back to the office and get some headspace around it, and let's touch base tomorrow. Let's touch base. I think the drama with tradies is we like to solve things. So the drama with Sparkies is we're really smart and sexy, and to a lesser extent aircon and solar people. But the drama with us is we like to solve things, and we're like, okay, sweet, we'll do it. Like, and I remember chucking everyone's money up in like five. So someone's like, can I get a pay rise? I'm like, $5. Okay, you're going up to $5. Like, can I get $10? Like, just being so sort of unsure of myself, and being so naive, or just, I guess, insecure is maybe a really, really good choice of words here. Just not confident, and not confident on the way forward. And I remember people asked me for pay rise. I was going up in 5s. And then I was speaking to my mate, Harry, who runs a pretty successful cafe out of Cronulla. And he was like, why don't you just go up in 1s? And I'm like, I never thought of that. You're kidding me. I've been given these 10 grand pay rises all the time, and I could have gone up in 2 grand. And you know, $5 a year is 10 grand, and $1 is 2 grand. And if you look at it like that, you just throw on tens, like, you know, you're like Oprah Winfrey. You get 10 grand, you get 10 grand. Who wants 10 grand? And if you're not careful, and if you don't have a process for pay rise, in other words, if people are just cornering you, just giving away, and you're just falling over like a fallen pyramid, you're like, sweet, you get everything, and you get everything, you get everything. And you've got to have certain standards and processes and systems. And I just want to confront as well. I know whenever you say process and system, everyone just goes, oh, can this guy shut up? Can this guy just shut his face when he's talking to me? And you're like, no, it's a process and systems, like a 10 commandments. Like, we just fall back on something, like a roughing checklist that you fall back on, and you're like, that's what the standard is, that's what's acceptable, that's what's appropriate, that's what's required, that's what's company policy. I live by that. And it's like, we start work at 7 a.m. We work 7 till 3, called it an 8-hour day, and we had a philosophy that if you're on time, you're late. And so you shoot for 6:45, that's the goal. So no pay, no stay. Classic example yesterday, the 10 commandments helped me. And I would encourage everyone to have a 10 commandments. Now, this is another thing. This is kind of what I wanted to get to. There's 2 more I want to get to of our 10 commandments. I'm going to go through a little 10 commandment journey. And these were sort of, myself and Cam were lying there. Maybe we were cuddling, maybe we weren't. We were dreaming. And then the 10 commandments got delivered to us via stone from the trade gods. That's what happened. So the other one, this is commandment number 9, is hard work is the enemy of smart work. Oh. Hard work is the enemy of smart work. Maybe a better way to phrase this is hard work can or could, or there is a risk that hard work could be the enemy of smart work. It's not always the enemy of smart work, but I believe this year, I want you to work hard. I know you work hard, right? We all know you work hard. That's all you talk about. You're at a barbecue and you're like, I'm the hardest working person that's ever lived, baby. And you just come home and you're sweating and you're dirty and you're on the dining table and you crack your crown lager and you're pouring it over your head going, I'm the busiest person that's ever lived and I'm working so hard. And have you ever seen someone on like a rough-in or a fit-off or trying to get the tongue up the wall that's pushing really hard, but they're doing it a little bit wrong? you know what I'm saying? They're really fast and really energetic and really like wanna be go get 'em. And this is like, I remember this one guy started with this, and he was like and obviously people have bad backs. I'm not saying that, but this guy had like an army strapped tool belt straight from, I don't know, straight from some kind of base camp, right? Straight into your high ace. And it was like there's only pliers and sideys and a hammer on this thing. Like, come on, man, it's like, your core's not that weak, right? So just protecting my back, man. And he was just like the most intense human, great guy, but like really staunchy, not in a staunchy like a arrogant way, but staunchy in sort of like a what's next, throw it at me, what's next. And he was so unbelievably bad at roughing in. He's like throwing something, then going back over and doing it again, and doing it again, or what about this? And it's just, his head was everywhere. and he was like a space cadet. I'm like, is this guy on the moon? What on earth is going on? And I was like, hey, come on. Like, there's no need to sweat so much when we could be working a bit smarter. Now, I'm a big fan of the sweat. If you know me, I'm a big fan of chucking the sweat into the business, of sweat equity, of working really hard. But I'm also a big fan of the smartness. And I was like, oh, let's get some structure to this. Let's get some rhyme to this. Let's get some rhythm to this. And let's get some cable rollers out, because a cable roller is as good as myself. It's amazing. It's going to roll the cable off beautifully, except for those times you're in a manhole and it's caught. And you're like, damn it, you cable roller, you bastard. But yeah, and I was working so hard, and you can laugh at that because you probably have experienced someone similar, but don't you do that in your business? Haven't you been like that in your business? Don't you act like that sometimes when you get manic and you're doing this quote and you're halfway through it and you get to someone and the phone rings and you go across here and you get to Betty's house and you're like, I'll get the quote to you this afternoon, Betty. And Betty's like, that'd be great. And she's got a crying baby. And you're like, okay, Betty, well, I'll get it back. And she's like, wah, wah, wah. And you're like, I got no, I just gotta get a coffee and they'll come back, and I get a muffin and come back, and you're unnecessarily eating and you're going from place to place to space to space to roof space to switchboard to Betty to Susie to Jimmy. And you're like, I was so busy. I'm working so hard. And I want to challenge that mindset. I want to get into that mindset. I want to get into that psyche and be like, maybe, just maybe, hard work can be the enemy of smart work. Maybe, just maybe, when you're pushing so hard, when you're really busy, when you're in the dryer, on the treadmill, in the washing machine, just going round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and then you start have a coffee and you're going round and round and you go round again. Maybe, just maybe, you need to work a bit smarter in 2024. And how do you work a bit smarter? I was speaking to someone yesterday, and it's really funny when you sit in that session 3 of that 3-pack, what I was saying with billable hours. I sat there, I'm like, what happened here? Like, you tell me what happened here. Like, what went on in this gap? And it was a non-billable callback, which I call an NBCB, because I'm like the wholesaler catalog. I'm just like, is that a 3644 AB 69A? And they're like, oh yeah, that is. No, but I was just that's what I call it. And what happened there? And they're like, oh, we just didn't, we didn't finish properly. We didn't label the switchboard, and you had to go back and do that and put the stickers on. I was like, cool. Well, that would have taken you 10 minutes to do a process on, like that one end of job checklist, that one end of job. This is what's acceptable, and you would have a script, and it goes in everyone's job notes, and that's it. You're done. 10 minutes, like 15 minutes. Call it half an hour. Oh, call it an hour, right? Whatever you want to call it. Just it's a small price to pay for the good of every job. And you can see that we're working so hard. And I was watching the hours, and he's bouncing around like a bouncy ball. I was going to say yo-yo, but they're coming straight back in your face. And I was bouncing around like a bouncy ball, just from job to job, and bang. And he's meeting someone here and going across and coming back and here. And I was like, I don't get it. And it was so cool to just sit there and because when I'm looking at that, I'm seeing a lot of myself in there too. I'm seeing a lot of myself at that stage of business, those early stages of business, just being like, okay, far I wish I had myself when I first. That's not really the topic we're on, but I was just like, maybe, just maybe, we need to pull ourselves back and plan our day better and put more effort into the schedule, and not being so reactive and not be so impulsive, and kind of get some systems and processes so people know what's expected and what's not expected. And I was sharing with him a story about one of our guys, Mikey, who was just a freaking weapon, like an absolute. He was so good, like just one of those naturally talented tradies that is, oh man, the guy could just do anything, right, with his hands. And a bit like me. No, not really. I was more like I was more not good at the start, but so competitive and so annoyed that someone was better than me, that I was like, I've just got to get better than everyone at this, because this is killing me and I hate being bad at things. And so Mikey was just like naturally, he was like Jesus on the tools. And I remember he went to this one real estate job, and I remember specifically the receptionist there said, you're allowed to change one ceiling fan, but the other one you're not allowed to change. And I was like, cool. So I was probably driving, like pouring a latte on my head while she said it, not even listening, just going like, si, no English, yes, of course. And then that call waiting answer, yes, of course. Just like no idea what the hell's going on. And anyway, it was pretty funny because I was speaking to, Mikey called me from the job and he's like, oh, I replaced that one. This other one in the dining room is just cooked. Like this, we need to change this one. It's not working, and the tenants asked, and I remember, I feel like I was always driving in that season of business when I was really busy, but I was probably just doing something, right? Like I was busy and my head was a little bit not on the planet. And if you're in that stage of business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I remember just going, oh yeah, just change it and we'll just set it. So I remember saying that, and he like kind of knew that it wasn't right, but said it anyway. And then Mikey was, Mikey just basically did it, changed it. And then I sent them the bill, and then she called me, who's actually my mate's wife. And she was like, what's going on? Like, I told you not to change that. You can't bill for this because it wasn't confirmed. And I was just said, yeah, you're right. You did say that. I know you said that. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, this is some random stranger that owns an investment property in Cronulla that I was just like, sure, here's $400. I don't even know you, but God bless you. God bless you. Have a great day. And I'm like, that is just insane. Like, that is just, you've just got to pull yourself back. And it was funny looking at my mate's, one of our clients' hours yesterday and just going, okay, let's do better. We can do better. And it was just when you sit in that 3-pack of sessions and you're like, I can get better. And that's what you want, because, and I always encourage everyone when you're sitting in those sessions with us, you kind of want there, if you're not quite making the money you thought, you kind of want there to be an issue, because if there was no issue, you'd be like, oh, what do I do now then? But when you see the issue, when you see your numbers on the spreadsheet, when you see your numbers in the billable hour calculator and referencing the jobs and the days, when you see all that in front of you, and when you're having to sort of explain yourself, like what happened here, and it's funny, I remember doing my hours originally, and I was like, that's that call I took in the car, that's when I rushed that quote at night time, that's when it rained that morning and I knew it was going to rain but I wasn't prepared, that's when I didn't do this, that's when I could have done this, that's when I should have done this. And it was all these things which it kept bringing up. I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. And I want to encourage you, wherever you're at, do better. You can do better. Don't get bound to the way you've been doing things. Don't get constrained or tied up to how it's just because you've always done it doesn't mean it's correct. Just because you've never done something doesn't mean you shouldn't try, right? So it's like, I want to encourage you, stop working so hard and start working smart. And I do believe it's like a combination, it's like a concoction, it's like a recipe, it's like a cookie recipe. You throw some hard in there, you throw some smart in there, and you give it a little stir, and you chuck it in the oven, right? And the oven being the business, the frying pan. And it's like, okay, cool. Because if I combo these two up, if I can combine these two, if I can keep my head in the sand, like my feet in the sand and my head in the future, in other words, if I can recognize what's going on today, but I can also look into the future and be like, this is where I could be. This is where I'm going to be. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to this point. And it's always what we talk about too, referencing busy. You hear people all the time, I'm so busy, I stopped answering the phone. It's like, well, are you at your desired team size? Like, what, how, like, if your head was operating in a 12 months time, you wouldn't have done that. Let's work smart. Let's not push so hard that we forget about the smart things like making money, smart things like treating people well, smart things like having staff performance reviews or checkups, smart things like checking invoices before they go out, smart things like creating checklists. Let's stop working so hard and start working a little bit smart, start working a bit creative, and start working a bit in the 50 shades of grey. And that's what we're building here. We're building a community of like-minded people that want to get better and that want to do better and that want to do good things with their money. And money's pretty much, take this with a grain of salt, but like everyone says you start your business for time or money, but it's probably not true. It's probably just money, because money just buys your time back. Like it's probably just money, and that's okay. And if you can reconcile that, and if you can be like, this money is why I'm going to push so hard, is because I'm going to make some money and I want to do some cool things with that. Like, imagine the things you could do that are cool. Like if you're retired early, you could take the kids to school and pick the kids up. You could have a day off here and there. You could have long weekends. You can go overseas. Like you can, if one of your mates is going through a hard time or has a nuts diagnosis, you can chip in some cash. Like you can help your parents out. You can help your brothers out, your sisters out. You can do some cool stuff. You can give to charities. You can give to if you're religious, you can do some really, really cool stuff. You can help the world. You can change the world, but it's going to start with working a little bit smarter. And I do believe that one person can change the world. And I do believe that that hard work sometimes is the antithesis of smart work. It's the opposite. And I do believe you need both. But I believe this year, put your time and energy and effort and work out where you want to be, where you're going to be, what you want to achieve, and then you work backwards from there. It's a lot simpler than you think. And I just think, like, with my personal goals this year, I was just on a bit of a hellbent mission just to go, I'm not going to complicate this thing. I don't want to read it through like a freaking essay. Here's my 5 things I'm focusing on, and that's it. We're done. Really, really simple and pretty optimistic, you would say. But hey, you just set where you want to go, and you're going to get there. So in this year, work smarter, not harder, and have some company standards. Have a company ethos. Have like a bit of a 10 commandments, and we'll be going through a bunch more of ours in the future episodes. So thanks for hanging out. Have the best day ever, and be nice to someone. Tell someone you love them. See you soon. Bye.